My name's PHILLIPS, and you're listening to Recess with Spinelli.
I used to grow a beard to cover up the devil's face.
You are listening to Recess with Spinelli here on WSPN, Saratoga Springs, New York, Hoxton FM, London, England, and for the New York State Music Blog. And today we are here with Mr. PHILLIPS from Texas, but now residing in Nashville. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
You're on tour with both the Counting Crows and Rob Thomas.
Yes.
How's the tour been going? Any highlights so far?
Oh my gosh, every day is a highlight. This is a highlight. We're in Saratoga Springs. There's 24,000 seats in this venue, and every day, it's like I died and went to heaven. I'm just glad to be here.
So it sounds like this tour is largely outdoor theaters or amphitheaters?
Yes. I've loved it. It's a little harder for us because the band and I have rehearsed so much, and we're so good at playing in a club setting, but nothing can prepare you for playing on a gigantic stage that's made out of aluminum. It kind of like shoots sound everywhere, and it bounces off the back of the hill and comes back at you, and it was very challenging at first to learn how to hear each other and to play on that stage. I've been touring the United States for about 7 years, but that's usually in front of 15 people a night.
When that transition initially happened from going from playing in front of 15 people to playing in front of thousands or 20,000, what was that initial, I assume, mindset change that you had to overcome to make that possible?
It's actually easier because when there's 5,000 people watching you who have never seen you before, some of them are listening, and so maybe like 2,500 people are actually watching you attentively. It's actually easier because you feel like you're doing something. Sometimes when you play for 15 people, 2 of those people are listening. We've been ready to do this, but nothing can prepare you for it.
Actually, the way we actually heard about you was through interviewing Adam Duritz of Counting Crows, and he actually spoke very fondly of you and told us to check you out. How long have you actually known Mr. Duritz?
In 2012, he sponsors a blog that finds new music, and he listens to all of it. He doesn't have to do that, but he still, I think that's what makes him great, is that he loves finding new music, and he's always filling the well. I started coming up here to play, and he would come to shows, and it was so funny because, like, dude, you don't have to come to my show, because it would be 12 people, but then one of the 12 people would be Adam Duritz. It was almost embarrassing, it was like, you like me, but I have no fans yet. He's like one of the greatest writers of our time, and one of the greatest literate writers. It's a very special thing for me. And Rob, too. I didn't know Rob before this tour. They're 2 of the nicest guys I've ever met, and they don't have to be. They're super successful. They watch every show of mine, and then they go and they play their show, and they kill it. And after that, we hang out. It's amazing, and I never want it to end.
Have you noticed any doors open or any opportunities coming your way because of this far?
D'Angelico, the great New York guitar company, gave me a guitar, and they sent me to their showroom, and I just picked out a guitar to play for this tour, and that was so nice. And like being like somebody that they think is worthy of endorsement, that's kind of neat to me. Like right before this tour, I had a guitar in pawn that I lost because I couldn't afford to get it out of pawn, and then D'Angelico gives me this guitar that's way better than the guitar that I had in pawn. It's just funny how your life changes so quickly when people help you.
Now, with Mr. Duritz, I believe that you've done some work with him musically in the past. I think I saw a cover that he did of Cat Song, and I think I heard that he worked with you on the new album as well.
Right, yeah. He let us record some stuff at his house, and so one of the new songs was recorded at his house. And actually, like, the guitar that we used, we found out later, was the guitar from the Mr. Jones video, which is funny, kind of, right? Because I was like, this guitar sounds so Counting Crows. So we recorded at his house, and then he sang on it, and he, like, added this 4-part harmony like it was nothing. A few years ago, I was watching the Counting Crows, and we were at the Bowery Electric, and the Crows were playing a secret show, and my friend Nakia is playing a song with him, and he's like, dude, you gotta videotape me doing this song. And I'm like, man, I gotta go, I have my own show. And he's like, this is gonna blow your mind. And they go into this song. I'm like, that's funny, I have a song that sounds a lot like that. And then Adam Duritz sings I Took That Young Thing to Dinner, which is my line to a song that I wrote called Cat Song. And I realized at that moment that they're not doing a song that sounds like my song, they're doing my song. I started weeping. It was like a Lifetime Achievement Award. The Counting Crows have too many good songs.
Well, as a songwriter, would you say you have a certain duty or responsibility either to yourself or to the listener to write sometimes an honest song in one retrospect or another?
My duty is to connect people and to write things that connect the song with the listener. And the only way you can do that is to have an honest narrator. And then when you do that, it doesn't matter what the story is, it's going to connect and it's going to help people through whatever the situation is.
So I guess the real question from there then becomes, how do you know whether or not you're being honest and telling an honest narration?
So I know because there's a poem by Robert Graves that I always go back to, and it's actually what our LLC is named after, but it's called Love Without Hope. And in 4 lines, Robert Graves tells this story of this bird catcher in industrial England who he spends his day in this park. Every day, his only job is to put larks in his hat, take him to a baker. Baker gives him a piece of bread, maybe a piece of coal. And that night he goes with food in his stomach, and he doesn't go cold. That's all he has to do. Just grab the birds before it gets dark. And on this particular day, he's leaving the park. He's got his birds, and he sees this beautiful white carriage drawn by 2 white horses, and inside is this beautiful squire's daughter. And here this lowly of birth bird catcher sees this girl, and he looks at her and she looks at him, and he tips his cap. The birds fly out, the larks fly out, and they fly into the heavens, and she watches them go into the heavens, and he's made this impression on this girl he would never have a chance with. Now he goes home and he's cold and he's hungry, but he's made an impression on this girl. I've never been a bird catcher, but I know that from that story I can relate, and I think about that story all the time. And whenever I wonder if my narrator is being honest, I just compare it to that Love Without Hope by Robert Graves.
So was it a relief when you were finally able to put your thoughts down on paper into a cohesive manner that could be understood? Yeah, I know that. But I still can't always do that every time. After every song you write, after every record you write, you're just starting over, and you think that you would get better, but the only thing that gets better is like your expectations. I definitely have gotten better at finishing songs. I've gotten better at writing with people. Like this last record was kind of like written to be a breakup record, and that was fun for me to go like, how does this fit in? Well, what about a song where this guy, like, there's a song called 18-Year-Old Girls. An 18-year-old girl like looks like a grown-up, but she is totally not, and it was just funny, this idea of this character who's like come out of a relationship, and now he's gonna like bring this like 18-year-old girl around his friends and be like, what are you doing, dude? So I'm looking for more like perspective than I am looking for the next what I can't have. Like what gets me off about songwriting is more like finding different angles, and funny scenarios. So it looks like we're just about running out of time here. So is there anything else, any final thoughts about your upcoming album, Dirty Wonder? Yes. The tour, or anything else that you would like to add? Get off your chest, say whatever. Oh, I just want people to hear the new record, and I'm very proud of it, and I think it's a complete piece. So thank you so much for joining me today. Yeah, thank you. You've been listening to Recess with Spinelli here on WSPN, Saratoga Springs, New York, Hoxton FM, London, England, and for the New York State Music Blog, we've been speaking to Mr. K. Phillips. His brand new album, Dirty Wonder, will be available soon, and you can purchase it right now at his concerts on tour with Rob Thomas and Counting Crows.